The following is a reenactment of my reaction to the Packers trading away their 14th pick and then trading back up to select Jaire Alexander. Are you mother son of a... Yay, we got a cornerback!
Packers are moving on! Aaron Rodgers has done it!
Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you're not to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I am your host, Tom Grossi, and that wraps up a very exciting first round in the 2018 NFL Draft. One that had several trades, a whole bunch of surprises, and for Green Bay Packers fans, moments of heavy drinking followed by some slight release of tension and stress, and eventually landing the Packers with Jaire Alexander, a cornerback out of Louisville. Now, the process to getting Jaire Alexander was quite a roller coaster. If you didn't check it out, I live streamed basically the entirety of the first round. You could check it out on my channel if you want background noise. You could check that out and get like my genuine reaction to the Packers trading back and then selecting Jaire Alexander with the 18th pick. But to kind of recap what happened here. So they got to a point where Derwin James was available, Edmonds was available, and on the stream, I was losing my mind because I thought we were finally going to get Derwin James. He fell right into our lap. I was cheering for other people to pick other players or other teams to pick other players. And then we traded back, and I was joking with the people on the stream that, like, of course, like, they're going to trade back. Again, joking. And then they did and crushed my soul. Trading from 14 to 27 with the New Orleans Saints. But by the way, the New Orleans Saints, they better pray that Davenport is the greatest player ever, because the Saints, not only did we get their 27th pick for this season, we also got their 5th round pick and next year's 1st round pick. And so while this is a total ripoff for the Saints, I still wasn't feeling that great, considering the Packers have always picked, or at least the past few years, have picked at the end of the draft. This was the first time that we had a top 15 pick. I thought this was our moment, and then we traded back. However, Goody McGootinter, who was making some sly moves, was not done yet and traded from 27 to 18 with the Seattle Yuckhawks and gave up just a 3rd round and a 6th round for this year's draft and got a 7th round in return. So all in all, we moved down 4 spots to pick a guy that was going to be there regardless. And all in all, we swapped a 3rd round pick. And so now next year, we have 2 1st round picks. I got to say, I mean, that's pretty damn good. Considering I was very upset when we moved back, and we got our cornerback, which fills a need. We'll talk about him in a second. This is a pretty damn good first move for Brian Gutekunst. So that being said, I'm pretty damn happy with it and the moves that were made tonight. Even though I would have liked to get James, but considering we're all right there at safety, I'm under the impression we need to replace Morgan Burnett, but the cornerback position definitely needed to be filled first. And by the way, Mike Hughes, I told you that he was going to get picked by the end of the 1st round, and he did get selected by the Minnesota Vikings, of all people, not going with an offensive lineman. But Josh Jackson, I know who a lot of people on this channel were very hyped about, did not get selected, and who knows, might be a 2nd round target for the Packers tomorrow. But let's talk about the man of the hour, Jaire Alexander. So I had talked about him. I broke him down. He was one of my top 5 cornerback prospects in a video a few weeks ago. And the number one thing that sticks out about this guy is his speed. So he ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. So was the fastest cornerback by far amongst all the cornerbacks this year. Is 5'10", coming in a little bit short. But just to give you a little bit of a breakdown of him, Based off some of his tape, he's really good in pass coverage. He's usually playing zone and only zone. Very physical, very hands-on. He's definitely a day one starter. In 2016, that was his best year as a sophomore, in which he had 5 picks in just 13 games. However, his junior year, he didn't really play it too much. He had some leg injuries. I think he had a hand injury as well, and just 1 pick, and he skipped his senior year. Now, that being said, obviously his leg's not bothering him for him to be able to run a 4.38, and so those are the positives. The only things that are kind of holding me back is the injuries, and with the injury proneness of Alexander, he'll fit right in with the rest of the Packers defense. It's funny, but it's sad. But now he could sit behind Devon House and Tramon Williams, and of course pair up with Kevin King. In addition, he's also a good punt returner, so he'll be competing with Trevor Davis for that job, because I know Randall Cobb, who's been filling in when Trevor Davis decides to fumble the ball. He seems to be electric, and a guy that could run 4.38. You're very, very happy about that. So he's a speedster. So overall, I'm happy with the pick. On the stream, I was kind of mad because this wasn't the guy that I expected them to pick. I was in love with guys like Mike Hughes, but I think he definitely fills a need. Speaking of, he will be wearing number 23. So bye, Randall. We will be forgetting you pretty quickly. So when I think the Packers they wanted Denzel Ward. They didn't expect him to go number 4 to the Browns. They obviously had their sights set on him. And so with that being said, I thought the Packers might pick up Fitzpatrick, but it was not meant to be. Instead, we fulfilled a need. We got a damn good player, and hopefully he works out like Ted Thompson's first pick and becomes a potential Hall of Famer. Now, that being said, the Packers now, for the rest of this draft, we have 11 picks left. So we have a 2nd-round pick, 2 4th-round picks, because we traded away our 3rd round to Seattle, 4 5th-round picks, 1 6th, and 3 7th-round picks. And so that being said, there's obviously a number of holes that still need to be filled. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the 2nd round tomorrow we'll go for a pass rusher. We might go back-to-back cornerbacks. Potentially maybe this is where you get your Josh Jackson. You could also get Isaiah Oliver, has also been mentioned. But pass rusher Harold Landry was still on the board, so they might take a swing at him. We also need wide receiver, offensive lineman, tight end maybe later. But, just because we don't have a 3rd, I wouldn't be worrying too much, because we could always trade back. We have the ammunition to do so. Of course, sitting on 4th, 5th-round picks, that's where we'll get a whole bunch of value. And so overall, I'm pretty damn happy with how the Packers, they worked this. Even if they didn't get the best cornerback. And some people had Jaire Alexander ranked above Denzel Ward. I think he was ranked as the 12th best player in the draft by some analysts. So I think that we definitely got a solid player. And that being said, the fact that we have ensured that we will be picking again in the 1st round next year really just kind of seals the deal for us. And so with that being said, I say this is a real good night, and I'm going to give the Packers a solid A. That means absolutely nothing coming from a man in a Packers jersey. But again, I was very upset the fact that the Packers traded back. But with the addition of the 1st-round pick and picking the guy who they wanted all along, at least at number 14 after Ward got picked, I think this was the right move. And we got a speedster, and hopefully this guy will kick some ass for us. But let me know what you think about the Jaire Alexander pick. Are you happy about it? Are you sad about it? Do you think we should have picked up Derwin James or Edmonds? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossi Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedy on Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook. Check out Packcast, Packast, which is this podcast. We're on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play Music. I'll also be streaming the 2nd and 3rd round tomorrow on YouTube, so you can check that out. That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'll also be streaming at least part of the 4th through 7th rounds on Saturday, which starts at 12 p.m. Eastern. You can also support the Patreon at Tom Grossi Comedy. I always appreciate that when you do. So, thank you so much for watching. It is currently almost 12:30 here on the East Coast, and so I need to go to sleep. With that being said, I will see you tomorrow. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.